time, but we are skipping this because we don't have that much time now. So let me go to another session, which is on the grade. So now what is this grade basically? So we have done the risk of bias assessment, and you have done it using the JBI checklist. In the JBI checklist, like if two people are using, like two reviewer are doing, then if there's a kind of mismatch, like one person is saying yes, blinding was there, and another person is saying that blinding was not there, in that case, both need to sit together and decide the final outcome, whether the blinding is there or it is not there. So that is important. So what is this grade basically? So this grade is again, if you see, it is there in the Cochrane, and it is regarding the overall article or the evidence which you have created. What is the strength of the evidence? So basically, whenever you want to know the certainty of evidence, the trustworthiness of your evidence, the overall meta-analysis which you have done, for that you use this grade approach. So what is this grade? So let's understand this with the analogy. Suppose, so basically the purpose of this is, it is not the individual studies, but rather it is the overall, the quality of the study. Like let's say if I have done some meta-analysis on 40 studies, but all the qualities are very poor. And if some other person has done the meta-analysis on, let's say 10 or 12 studies, but the qualities of those studies were very good. So which meta-analysis, the result I will trust more. So that is regarding the trustworthiness and quality, which we label this with the grade approach. So what is this grade? We'll understand this with one scenario. So let's see, like there are 5 people, and like I want to go to a restaurant, and I want some feedback from my colleague and friends. So let's say I have 5 friends, and I want to ask from them like whether this restaurant is worth visiting or not. But all these 5 friends, they are not very trustworthy, because all 5, they are known to exaggerate, or probably they lie many times. So if they all are saying like yes, you should go, how much will I accept that? Because I will think whether they are saying the truth or not. So how much trust can I have in those statements? So I will say that it is very low, because even if they all agree, I will have strong doubts. Why? Because I will think that no, they usually lie, and they are not trustworthy. So that's why my certainty of evidence will be very low. But if all 5 of my colleague or friends, they are very trustworthy. So, and if all are saying yes, yes, you should go to that restaurant, it is very good. So then my level of certainty will be, it will be very high, because if they are all saying good, it should be a good restaurant, right? That we feel in our everyday life also. In any decision making, if you go to any person whom you trust, and if they say yes, you should do it, generally your like certainty is high. If like out of those 3 people are not trustworthy, and 2 are trustworthy, so 3 people are saying yes, you should go, but they are not trustworthy, and 2 are saying you should go. So in that case, again, my what will be my trustworthiness? So my certainty of evidence will be low, because 3 are untrustworthy and 2 are trustworthy. Again, if I reverse this ratio, 3 are trustworthy and 2 are untrustworthy, so my certainty of evidence will move from low to moderate. So it will be like from moderate to low. Why? Because 3 people are saying good also, so it will be moderate. And if they are equal in number, then I may say that my strength of evidence or the certainty of evidence, in that case, it is like mixed signal. So that's why I'll say in the previous one it will be moderate. I'm sorry, I use this moderate to low. In the previous one it will be moderate, and here it will be moderate to low. So what is the take home message? So basically the take home message is not only about the quantity of the studies, means the number of studies, but it is also about the quality of the study, the consistency of the reporting, and the reliability of the sources. We'll see this one by one. So now that's why this grade approach, this helps us systematically to judge this certainty. So next time, whenever you have to read any research paper, so always see the trustworthiness of the messenger. So how this risk of bias and this grade is related, and how they are different. So if you see, this risk of bias is one component of this grade. So grade is basically, it is a system to rate the certainty of evidence. So it helps us to assess how much confident we are in finding of a systematic review. So basically, it looks at 5 domains for downgrading. And like, if you see the RCT and observational studies, obviously the RCT has got a higher evidence and observational studies has got a lower evidence. So what the body of evidence is saying, if you have got all the studies which are RCT, then definitely the body of evidence, what will be my starting point? So if all are RCT, my starting point is like high. So if my body of evidence is saying that yes, all are RCTs, then my certainty of evidence is high. And similarly, it is not about individual study, it is about the pool studies. So I'll start with that, and then I have got the 5 grade. So the first is your risk of bias, first domain. Risk of bias, you know what is the risk of bias. So and the second domain is the inconsistency. My third domain is the indirectness. My fourth domain is imprecision. And my fifth domain is publication bias. Now we'll see this one by one. So risk bias is, again, risk of bias, if there are flaws in study, means blinding is not done or improperly, or it is not mentioned, randomization is not mentioned or not done properly. This is, if this is not there, then this is a flaw in the study. The second comes like inconsistency. That means whatever studies I have included, there's a quite a lot amount of inconsistency. That means the heterogeneity is very much, like results vary across these studies. Then next comes your indirectness, means whatever research question I have selected, whether it is directly applicable, the answers which has come, whether it is directly applicable to that particular group or not. Next comes your precision. That means whether the confidence interval of the pooled estimate, is it narrow or it is very wide. So, or the sample size of the total, whatever included studies are there, whether they are adequate or they are very small. That is regarding your imprecision or the precision. And then comes your publication bias, whether there is a significant publication bias in your meta-analysis or not. So how to do this? So this is not done by, this is the person who has done the systematic review, the qualitative synthesis, and the team all can sit and decide what will be the this trustworthiness of your reporting which you have done. So like, let's start with this domain one, which is the risk of bias. So suppose if there is a problem in the risk of bias, means problem in the flaw in the study design, then what you do, you downgrade your grade from 1. If there is again inconsistency in your this report, like results, if it is quite heterogeneous, then again you again downgrade it by 1 point. If this indirectness is like evidence, if it is again this indirectness is there, again you downgrade it by 1 level. And similarly, if it is results are not very precise, confidence interval are very wide, and publication bias are there, then also you downgrade your study. So like, for example, of this probiotic and diarrhea, there are many studies, but with these 5 studies, let's say if the risk of bias in study is low, in 2 study it is low, but in 1 study it is high, and in 2 study it is moderate. And if I see, so all these 5 RCTs are the comparing the probiotics to a placebo, and study generally all are the RCT. So I will start like certainty of evidence is high because all are RCT. So the starting point for RCT, like I said, it is high. Why? Because RCTs are considered as a highest body of evidence in case of individual studies. So since all studies are RCT, our initial confidence was high related to this grade. But when I have done the risk of bias and I've seen there are few studies which has not mentioned, like 2 studies has poor blinding, and there was 1 study which has not mentioned the randomization very clearly. So in that case, what I'll do, initially I started with high, but I will downgrade that high to a one grade down. So can we trust this study? So I should downgrade this if I take the input from the risk of bias. So from this high, I started with high because all 5 were RCT. But again, I'll move this like downgrade this one by one, and I will put that to a moderate category. So now from high, because of this risk of bias, it has gone to moderate. Now I'll come to the second domain regarding the inconsistency. So in the inconsistency, there are some studies which are showing large effect, and there are some studies which are showing the small effect. So there's a significant heterogeneity. So if it is there, so what will happen to my grade? So again, I need to I need to ask this question: are my results significant or consistent? Let me use this. So I need to ask this question, like, are my this results are consistent? In that case, if it is the answer to this question is no, then again I will downgrade it. So from moderate, initially I started with high. On risk of bias, I went to this moderate, but again this is a yes here. So I'll again go from moderate and I have to low level. So I have again made it like one level lower than the initial level. So how I have done it? I've started with high. I think there's some issue with the camera. Okay, it is okay now. No, there's a still. Battery. Okay, I'll close this. So now the certainty is low. Now moving to another, this thing domain 3, indirectness. So here the study were not indirect because all the studies it was done on the children with acute diarrhea, and they have used the same intervention and outcome. So there was not indirectness. So now I can say like there's no need to downgrade because this is okay for me. And now because this is not an indirect study and all studies they are saying the same thing like done on the children and done on the children with acute diarrhea. So now there is no reason to downgrade. So I will not downgrade this using this because this is my favorable. So I will not do the down grading because evidence is directly applicable. Coming to the domain 4, which is the imprecision. So in imprecision, the sample size is reasonable and the confidence interval, I mean, there are some wide confidence interval, but we have like the results are precise enough. So again, I will not downgrade this. So this is one example I'm showing just for demonstration. And then when I have done the publication bias, I have seen that all the published studies are showing and there are no negative studies. So again, I'm not downgrading. So you can downgrade it. It is the committee, I mean, the review team decision. You can downgrade this or you can still take decision not to downgrade it. So what is my final call? So I've started with high, then I have put like moderate and again I have done it as a low. So my final certainty of evidence has come to low. How I have done it? Taking all these 5 points. Risk of bias, if it was there, I have, because of these reasons, I have downgraded by one. Inconsistencies were there because of the heterogeneity, I have downgraded it by one. But the other three, I have not downgraded. That's why I have started with high, but I have landed up at low. And again, the final, you may decide whether it is low or very low. But again, you have to report this grade also. So basically, the risk of bias is for the individual studies, but this grade approach is for the overall body of evidence. It looks at the total body of evidence and the summary estimate which you have generated. So the ROB is one of the criteria of the grade. But grade, it is beyond ROB and it takes the 4 other component into the account. And again, like I said, grade is not for the individual studies, it is for the whole body of evidence. And when we say the total body of evidence, we mean that all studies contributing to that data, to that particular pooled estimate of our meta-analysis. Right. So final studies is, or even if we have RCTs to start with, it was high. But when we have taken the other things into the account, like risk of bias, indirectness, imprecision, and the publication bias, and some negative result, the overall grade of our evidence can be a low or a moderate or a very low, right? So this is regarding the grade approach. Again, one thing, let me tell you, in the Prisma, there's a 27-point checklist. Let me tell you that. Where is that? So you need to report your studies based on that. I could not find that.
Is it mandatory that we should mention about this grade, madam?
Generally, you should. Mandatory is like what you say. You will find, like when we did, we were not aware. Okay. When we did, we were not aware, so we did not mention. But once we know now that we should, then we should. Ultimately, if you submit this thing, they don't ask in the Prisma reporting. Let me show you the 27-item checklist. Abstract checklist. Yes. This is the Prisma 2020 checklist. Means you need to report your systematic review using this format. So you all need, whenever you sit to draft your manuscript, use this Prisma checklist to report your this thing. Like it starts with the title abstract, and here we have provided this to you. There is an abstract checklist also. So whatever you do, like whenever you sit, like this is an abstract checklist. So you should mention your title and abstract, title and then background objectives. In the methods, you should mention your eligibility criteria, information sources, risk of bias, synthesis of result, all these discussions and other. This is the checklist for and you have to like write yes or no. Similarly, for this Prisma of this checklist, if you see, you need to mention all this like eligibility criteria, information sources, search strategies, selection process, data collection process. You have to like sit and read each and every, because we don't have that much time. You can go through this like synthesis method. Again, they ask for risk or bias. Again, if you see here, the certainty of assessment. Describe any methods used to assess certainty of evidence in the body. This is like grade approach. So Prisma, like it it is not saying that you don't know, but you should, I mean, you should not report, but at least you have to write like you have not done it. Like nobody will reject your publication if you have not used grade. But again, if you have used it, because we have not used, so we have filled like no. When we did our meta-analysis, we have like written no here, because we have not done grade at that point of time, because we did not know how to do that. Because in systematic review and meta-analysis, there's a lot of things. Every time it gets upgraded, and knowledge is getting updated every time. So maybe everything you may not know when you will do your first, but as you progress and you keep on doing, you will improve. So grade in first workshop, we have not included this grade. And in this second one, we have included. Similarly, this RevMan, we did not include in the first one because we ourselves did not explore. But now we have explored, so we have told you. So, it's gradually you build upon the blocks on your existing this thing. So you cannot say, Subhapriya, whether it is mandatory or not. Rather, I should say, if you know, you should try. But if you think that, you should go ahead with your publication and submitting the report without grade, that is okay. But in this checklist, you have to write like you have not done it. Is it okay? Then coming to another. Okay, so these are the points. Please go through that. And then there are some lacunae. I think we'll share the video probably. There's one more session. What mistakes we made in our first meta-analysis. So we can share the video on the link with our first workshop of our first workshop. You can listen to that. Otherwise, this is, we can call like today's session. This is the end of our workshop.